All right, let's jump right in. Today, we're going to talk about a group of people who are honestly the unsung guardians of India's economy. You probably don't see them day to day, but trust me, their work impacts everything, from the price you pay for petrol to the actual security of the nation.
So who are these invisible officers? I mean, who are the folks working behind the scenes? At ports and factories, at those border checkpoints, making sure the whole economic engine of the country keeps running smoothly and, just as importantly, securely. Well, let's get into it.
Okay, so we're talking about the officers of India's Central Excise. They're part of a bigger group you might have heard of, the Central Board of Indirect Taxes and Customs, or CBIC for short. And these folks are the focus of a really important, but honestly, often overlooked, national day.
And that day is February 24th. That's Central Excise Day. It's a day that's literally dedicated to recognizing the incredible contribution these officers make to the nation's financial health and its overall integrity. You know this quote here? It just sums up their mission so perfectly. It's not just about collecting taxes, not by a long shot. It's about making sure the whole system runs smoothly, securing that vital revenue for national development and, this is huge, actively stopping illegal trade in its tracks. It's a massive, multifaceted, and absolutely crucial job.
So, to really get why this day is so significant, we actually have to hop in a time machine and go way back. The foundation for the system we have today, it was laid over 80 years ago, right in the middle of a really pivotal moment in India's history.
And at the heart of this origin story is one key piece of legislation, the Central Excise and Salt Act. It was enacted on, you guessed it, February 24th, 1944. This one act, this single law, created the modern, structured framework for how India collects excise duties on manufactured goods, and that's why we celebrate on this specific day.
This timeline here gives us a fantastic bird's-eye view, doesn't it? You can see the early beginnings back in the British era. Then, boom, the massive modernization in 1944. And then, the absolute game-changer in 2017, the introduction of GST, the Goods and Services Tax. And that, of course, brings us to a really, really important question.
Right. So, you're probably thinking, if GST covers pretty much everything now, what in the world do Central Excise officers even do today? It's a super common question, a real point of confusion. But here's the thing, their role hasn't disappeared at all. In fact, it's just become way more focused and, you could argue, more critical than ever.
Okay, so the most important thing to get your head around is this massive shift. Think about it. Before GST, excise was this really broad tax that applied to almost all manufactured goods. But now, after GST, it's become this highly targeted, almost surgical tool. It's focused only on specific, high-value sectors that are still outside the GST system. So their whole mission has evolved from just broad collection to a much more specialized kind of oversight.
So what are these special sectors? Well, we're talking about the big three. Petroleum products, the stuff that literally fuels the entire country. Then you've got tobacco and all its related products, and of course, liquor. These aren't small fry, these are massive industries where excise duty is still an absolutely vital source of revenue for the government. But I want to be crystal clear about something. Their job is not a simple desk job. Not at all. In this new, super focused role, they are right there on the front lines, going up against some really sophisticated and constantly evolving threats. Threats that are aimed right at the heart of our country's economic security. And the challenges they face? They're just immense. We're talking about fighting smugglers who are using all the latest tech, managing illegal trade that tries to sneak across borders, and battling the flow of dangerous counterfeit goods and even narcotics. And they have to do all of that while constantly adapting to fast-changing tax laws and trying to balance tough enforcement with being helpful and friendly to taxpayers. Talk about a complex balancing act.
So, how do we celebrate this incredible duty? Well, Central Excise Day isn't just some stuffy formality on a calendar. No way. It's a real day of recognition, a professional growth, and even community connection for these really dedicated officers.
The whole day is packed with a ton of different activities. For starters, you've got award ceremonies that honor officers for outstanding bravery and new ideas. Then there are these really high-level seminars where they talk about tax policy and the latest digital tools. But it's not all just internal shop talk. They also run awareness campaigns for the public and get involved in community service, things like blood donation drives. It's a day that's genuinely filled with pride and a sense of purpose.
All right, so let's tie this all together. We've looked at their history, we've seen what their modern mission looks like. But let's get down to the big question. Why should any of this matter to you? Well, the answer is pretty simple. Their work has a direct, tangible impact on our daily lives, and honestly, on the entire nation's future.
First off, let's talk about the money. The revenue we're talking about here is just immense. The excise duty that comes in, especially from petroleum products, is a massive contributor to the government's wallet. And this is the money that pays for our roads, our hospitals, and all those big national development projects.
And that impact is so direct and personal for all of us. That revenue helps keep our economy stable. Their fight against fake goods, that literally protects you and me, the consumers. The high taxes on stuff like tobacco, that's actually a public health tool designed to discourage harmful habits. And when you add it all up, all this money funds the essential services that are building a stronger India for everyone.
So I'll leave you with this one final thought to chew on. In a world that's becoming more digital and borderless by the second, a world where trade is getting more and more complex, isn't the role of these on-the-ground, real-world guardians more vital than ever, to protect our economic sovereignty? It's definitely something to think about.